So I often talk about here on my channel all the exciting new makeup products, but today I wanted to talk about my holy grails and just do my kind of go-to makeup routine with you guys with some of my all-time favorite products that have really stood the test of time for me. You'll see how well loved and well used these products are in my collection, and I just wanted to share like my hippie top best of the best products with you and how I got this look today. And I'm so excited because today's video is actually sponsored by one of my favorite brush brands, BK Beauty, which are also holy grails in my collection and have been since I've started using them a few years ago. They really changed the makeup game for me. They're actually created by another popular beauty YouTuber, Lisa J Makeup, here on YouTube. But what's really exciting is they're gonna be doing a sale coming up here in July, and I wanted to get you guys excited about the sale so you can mark your calendars and pick up some of these brushes at a discount because they don't do discounts super often. And some of my favorite brushes in her line are actually the Angie Hot and Flashy set, which is another makeup YouTuber here. She does a lot of makeup for mature skin, and she created some amazing brushes with BK Beauty, and these are going to be included in the sale. The sale dates are going to be July 3 through 8. I'll have all the information down below. Now what's really cool is you can shop these brushes directly from the video. They're going to pop up here in the view more products section, and you'll be able to shop them now or also during the sale, and I'll have any coupon codes for you guys down below as well if you guys want to shop them right now. So anyways, I'm so excited that they're going to be doing this sale, but I am just ready to talk about some of my holy grail products with you. I've been on YouTube for over 10 years, so I have tried many products, and these really stood the test of time and are always reached for in my collection. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna start off today with our primer, and if you watch me a lot, you guys probably know how much I love the denona Yummy Skin Balm Powder. I mean, I have a little bit left. Clearly, it is very well loved. Now, I do have a tinted one. They do make a translucent and some tints. So I have worn this as like a skin tint as well, but I like the tint just to kind of cover the redness I have. I do have a lot of pink in my skin and just a lot of redness that comes through. So this kind of evens things out, and it instantly mattifies the skin. Like, my foundations will look so good all day thanks to this stuff. I never used to believe in primers until I got my hands on this, and this really changed the game for me. I just felt like no matter what, my skin would always get oily, my foundation would break up, slip and slide all over my face, and this helps hold it all day, and also it blurs and smooths the skin as well. I'm going to use the A101 brush from the Angie Hot and Flashy set. They do sell this brush individually as well. I use it for foundation, but it covers a lot of area, so it's also great for your primer. But yeah, since this has a tint, I just figured we would go ahead and use it with a brush today. But you can kind of see it's just evening things out a bit. It is weird that it has like this balmy consistency at first, but that feeling will go away, and it does kind of dry down into a powder finish where you don't really feel it on the skin. So you can just see this evening everything. It looks a little bit more blurred, so you can definitely wear this on its own as well. It makes a really great skin tint for summer if you just want like a little bit of something on the face. I just apply this all over the skin. You could focus on just the T-zone if you want to as well, but I just like to have it even all over the face. So next we can go in with our foundation. I'm just going to use the same brush for this, the A101, and this is my holy grail foundation. I was like, should I use this today? Because I know they're discontinuing it and it's really hard to find, but this really is my holy grail foundation, the Too Faced Born This Way Matte 24-Hour Foundation. I have used this and loved it since it launched. It's been a few years now, probably 4 or 5, but they actually did come out with a new version, which I need to put to the test and see if it's just as good as the original, but I don't know, nothing beats this for me. If you have oily skin, this is a game changer. I personally love a medium to full coverage, and that is what this gives. This makes me feel the most flawless. I wear this all the time for photo shoots. If you guys didn't know, I also work for a boutique. About once a week I model for them. You can find me on the Pulse Boutique. I wear this all the time. It just makes me feel so confident and just evens everything out, and it lasts so well on oily skin. I like to just kind of squirt this a little bit on my face, just a tiny bit, and then we'll go ahead and blend it out. I just don't want my brush to get all gunked up. But this seriously gives the most beautiful finish, beautiful coverage. It's not too heavy for a fuller coverage foundation. It just sits so nice on the skin and it lasts hours and hours. One of my most long wearing foundations. I often like to compare this one to a Estee Lauder Double Wear. I feel like it's very similar. Sometimes Double Wear is almost a little too heavy for me, and I feel like this is a perfect medium. So I'm really nervous to try the new one, but I did see that you can still get this one, I think on Sephora at Kohl's, which I'll have it linked for you. It looked like they had most of the shades in stock if you want to grab one before it's gone forever. But yeah, I will be testing out the new one. I might already have it up on my channel, who knows? But this one just is so beautiful on the skin, and if you're a fan of it too, you might want to stock up and grab a bottle before it's gone for good. But you can see, like, you can still see my skin through this. It's not like you're wearing a mask or anything, and I don't like to apply too much as is, just making sure this is all blended. So the shade I'm using is light beige, just kind of making sure I get that all down my neck. But as you can see, that pretty much evened everything out, got rid of redness. I just like a little more coverage than usual because I do have so much pink and red undertones in my skin. And I've been using the BK Beauty 101 brush for years as my favorite foundation brush. I just feel like it gives me the most flawless finish. I'm definitely a brush girl over a sponge girl because, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't absorb as much of the product, and I feel like these brushes do give a nice airbrush finish. It's so soft on the face. It also has this nice slightly curved shape where it's going to hug all the edges of the face, so you make sure that you're getting each and every inch of the skin. Now I am very breakout prone, so I do like to add in a fuller coverage concealer when I do have a stubborn pimple that pops up and I need to kind of create a flawless canvas and I want to even everything out. So I have this annoying one that popped up yesterday, and just a couple spots on the face that I just need a little bit more coverage. So the NARS Soft Matte Concealer has been a holy grail of mine for years for this. It's one of the most full coverage. I feel like potted concealers are always the way to go. And I'm going to dip in with, again, from the Angie Hot and Flashy set. This is their A506. And this is a really nice, again, kind of smaller version of the 101 that's kind of meant for concealer. Again, it has that really nice slant and it's just as soft and fluffy. So I'm going to dip into this. With this one, I have the shade Macaron Glace. And we're just going to dot this over this pimple. As you can see, that pretty much covered it. And any other spots where I just need a little more coverage. So I always break out here along my chin. So there's usually a couple spots there. Now, sometimes concealer can move around, so I like to set this right away. As you've noticed, I didn't set the whole face yet, but I am going to set the concealer. I'm going to use my Huda Beauty. This is the Easy Bake Powder. I love this. I've gone through a few now. It's just my go-to powder. It like smooths everything and also mattifies. Oh, it looks so good on the skin. It's not cakey at all. I'm just gonna actually use my finger for this just to get as much coverage as possible. And I'm gonna place this powder right on top of where we put the concealer. And you can kind of brush it away with a little powder brush too. Just very lightly so that you're not moving that concealer around. This is just the BK Beauty 108 brush, which I will get back to this in a minute. But now we're gonna actually move on to the eyes. Sorry, my necklace keeps going all over the place, but I love to do my foundation first and then do the eyes next before we move on to concealer and stuff, just in case there's any fallout or things we need to clean up. So let's move on to eyeshadow. Now, eyeshadow primer makes the biggest difference in having your eyeshadow last all day, but if you have oily lids, you kind of need a little extra steps too. Sometimes, at least I do, to make mine last for hours and hours. Now, I've found the NARS Smudge Proof Eye Primer to be the best, in my opinion, for oily eyelids. I'm just gonna apply a little bit on each eye. I'm just gonna blend it out with my finger here. I'm gonna use this A501 brush here and go back into my Huda powder and just do a light layer to set that primer down. And I feel like this really is key in helping my eyeshadow not crease and budge. Yeah, especially in the summer where it's just extra hot. I'm sweating all day. So this really, really helps if you've been struggling with your eyeshadows creasing. For eyeshadow, this has been kind of my go-to palette whenever I want to look glam. I know I can count on this. This comes with me everywhere. It is the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. I'm such a Natasha Denona girl, and I'm a neutral girl as well. That's always what I like to wear. I love my fun color sometimes too, but this palette just always gives me that soft glam touch that I'm looking for. And let me tell you, Angie's set has some of the best eyeshadow brushes, and these really changed the game for me because I used to use these huge fluffy brushes for my eyes and I would wonder why it's so hard to blend my eyeshadow. It's because I was getting eyeshadow all over and I don't have a lot of lid space. So actually finding smaller brushes like that are in Angie's set like this really made such a difference. So let's go ahead and dive in. This is my favorite crease brush from the BK line. It's the A502. And it's a nice small but still very fluffy. It's gonna blend your shadows really easily. And honestly, your eye brushes make such a difference with how your eye looks come out. Even if you have a bad performing palette, I feel like your eye brushes can still kind of make it work. But Natasha always performs really great for me. I love how pigmented her mattes are and her shimmers are just absolutely stunning. So we're gonna go ahead and do just a look I do quite often with this palette. I'm gonna take this shade here. It's a nice crease shade. This is called Stone. I like to start with something lighter to medium in tone in my crease. I do tap the excess off as well because you don't want to get too much product on. And then we'll just kind of go ahead and blend this into this fold of the eye. And my eyes are slightly hooded, so I do take it a little bit above as well, just to kind of extend my eye area. You see how that just blends like so effortlessly, and this brush is small enough that I'm not getting eyeshadow all the way to my brow. For my outer corner, I do like a little bit of a bigger brush here to cover more area. This is the A503 brush, and I'm gonna dip into this darker matte in the palette just very lightly. This is called Silhouette. You don't want to get too much of this, and then just kind of patting that in on the outer corner and blending. But you could just see just how soft and pretty that looks. I like a darker smoky outer corner when it comes to my eye looks. But I'm using a bigger brush here just so we're not getting this too dark in the outer corner. I still want this to be pretty wearable. And you can kind of extend that out if you want. Just blend out. I know everyone's kind of been extending their shadow out a little bit more lately. Another favorite brush from the Angie Hot and Flashy set, this is the A504. This is the really, really tiny detailed brush, and this one is great for getting on the lower lash line. For this, I'm actually going to start with the same shades we used on the lid, the lighter Stone shade, just to kind of start a base here. I just feel like if you have a base started, then the darker shades will blend out a little bit better. But yeah, see how easy that is? I just feel like connecting those colors really makes a difference with your eye looks. Now into the darker brown to smoke that out a bit. But this brush gives it such a nice diffused look. You can see it's not like a super harsh darkness under there, and it's not getting any fallout anywhere. Now the Angie Hot and Flashy set also includes the perfect lid brush too. I love using these kind of flat brushes when it comes to my shimmers. I also like to use my fingers for my shimmers too. You can do it either way. But let's see, what shade do we want to use? I do want something pretty sparkly, I think. I do use Muse a lot, so maybe we'll go into this one. I am first going to grab some on my brush, and then I'm gonna spray either some water or some Fix Plus. You can use like setting spray, whatever you have available. This will make your shadow glide on even more. And I don't like to spray it before I dip in because then sometimes it creates hard pan in your palette. So it's, now that the brush is wet, we can just smooth this on the eye. Oh my gosh, look at that shimmer. That is so pretty. And this brush definitely makes it so that you're getting the most pigment when it comes to your shimmers, because you don't want, at least for me, I don't want my shimmer to be soft. I want it to be noticeable. Now that we got our shimmers placed down, I'm going back into the A503. I'm not going to dip into any more product, but I'm just taking what's left on my brush and just blending the kind of dark matte with the shimmer so that there's no weird lines happening. We want this to just look very smooth on the eyes, and some of the sparkles might get into it, and that's okay. I just want the shadows to kind of like melt into each other. So that is what we're doing for our eye look today. This is a look I wear so much. It's a great like photo shoot look, going out look, but also great for every day. I feel like I get a lot of compliments on this type of look. Now, I love a good white eyeliner, so I am going to put some on my waterline. This is just a ColourPop one in the shade Exit. I just like these because they're really affordable and they're super creamy. But I like a bright white under my eye just because I do have smaller eyes and I squint a lot. Like when I smile, my eyes get super duper tiny and I feel like you can't see them. So this just adds like some extra brightness. So that is what I want to do for the eyes. Let's move on. I'm actually going to clean that up with some concealer. Now, my current favorite Holy Grail concealer right now, this is a newer one, but I feel like some of the best concealers of the makeup world have come out in the past year. It's just been an amazing year for concealer. And this Laura Mercier one just blew my mind. Like, it is so good. I personally have a little bit of darkness usually. I have very puffy under eyes, so I like a little more coverage. But I also don't want my under eyes to look dry and cakey. And this is like a serum consistency, but it still gives you the perfect amount of coverage. I'm using shade 1 and O. I do feel like these run a little darker than you would think. And I'm just going to put some in the very corners of the eye. We're not going to do the big triangle that used to be popular, but less is more when it comes to your concealer. Then going back with the A506 brush that we used on our blemishes, we're going to blend this out. It has the perfect rounded edge to really get under the eyes. So just blending this, you can see it's a nice thin consistency, but it still is going to cover up any darkness and still give us the coverage that we want without being really heavy. And this wears amazingly throughout the day. It barely budges. It's insane. And I usually always get creasing with concealer, but this one truly changed the game for me. Now, in order to make sure our concealer is not going to crease up, I do like to use a little powder, and I have found the Givenchy Prism Libre Rose Powder has been my favorite because pink powders have been really trending right now, but a lot of them actually are too dark for my skin tone. So this one I found to be like the lightest and work for more fair and light skin tones. It just has a hint of peach and pink to brighten, but also this formula is incredibly smoothing. It's really light and it's a thinner consistency where it's not going to settle into lines. So for this, I use the BK Beauty 108, which is in their core collection. It's just a nice rounded brush, perfect for this powder. Tap a little bit of the excess off. It's okay if you have a lot on there, and just set that into the skin here. And you can see like how much of a difference that makes. I feel like this side looks much brighter in my opinion. So now that that's done, I'm actually switching powders again, and we're switching back to Huda. So this one works fine for under the eyes, but I just like the Givenchy a little bit more. But this one I love for all over the face to give me that matte and smooth finish. And for that, I use the BK 104 powder brush. This is just a really nice, fluffy, soft brush that covers a lot of area. And I'm just going to pat this and press it into my skin. Since we have all of our liquid products on, I am more of a powder girl when it comes to my cheek products. So if I was doing a cream or a liquid like bronzer, I probably would not set the face yet, but I do like to set right after my foundation because I just feel like my bronzers, my powder bronzers and blush will blend better if my face is set with a powder, because then it's like powder blending into powder instead of powder blending into like maybe a sticky, not fully set foundation. I almost forgot I wanted to prep my lips a little bit. I like to apply a little lip balm and let that sit before I do my lip products, just because it makes them a lot more moisturized and smooth. And as you can see, Summer Fridays, especially this pink one, this is, I think their Pink Sugar, is clearly well loved. I'm almost gone with this one. This smells so good, but I also love the formula. So I'm just gonna do a tiny bit of this, not too much. My lips are gonna look a little lighter because of the foundation, but this just adds a tiny, tiny bit of color. But I've always been such a fan of the Summer Fridays lip balms. It's just my holy grail. I've loved these since they launched, and I know there's been so many other lip balms that have come out in the market, but I'm just such a Summer Fridays girl. Hopefully they restocked this shade because it's my favorite one. And while that sits, let's go ahead and do mascara just to complete the eyes. My holy grail is actually from Rare Beauty, and I think this is, I don't know what it's called necessarily, but it's just their mascara. They only have one in the line, but I love this formula so much. It creates the perfect amount of length and volume. I do like more, I would say, length. Like I always need more length when it comes to my lashes, but this just does it all for me. And whenever I run out, I immediately have to purchase this. It is just so good. And I think I'm not even gonna wear false lashes today since, you know, I mean, I do wear false lashes from time to time. I love how it just, you know, takes your look to the next level, but I really want you guys to see how the mascara looks on its own, because I think it looks great on its own, even though I wish, you know, I could have the length of the false lashes and the volume. My lashes are just never going to be at that level, but this kind of gives them that fake effect. And it does not smudge either, which I have such a problem with mascara smudging on me because I have more oily skin. They always transfer, but this one actually stays all day for me. This is nice. You could keep building it. It doesn't get clumpy. It's just such an all-around excellent formula. I think it needs to be talked about more, honestly. I'm going to put this on my lower lashes as well. I'm also putting this on my lower lashes. So that's how our mascara looks with a couple coats. Now we'll do the brows because I'm feeling a little naked without my brows done. This is always the order I do my makeup, by the way. I don't know why, but this is just how I do it. So for my brows, I had to choose the Precisely My Brow Pencil from Benefit because this has been a staple for years. It's like one of the first nice, really thin brow pencils that have come out on the market, and I like a smaller tip like this. I do not like the thick angled ones at all because I have pretty thin brows as is, and I try to keep my brows pretty well maintained. They really don't need a whole lot of effort, but yeah, I know they are not the thickest, but I like to kind of draw out underneath a little bit and create like a base line. Just very lightly, mostly just in the first half. I feel like the ends I really don't need a whole lot of work with, and then I just kind of start flicking and doing little strokes that are kind of going up a little bit with my pencil, just mostly trying to fill in where it's more sparse in the first half of the brow, and then I just kind of run my pencil through very lightly on the ends. I really don't need like a ton of extra work with my brows. I don't like them to be super bold. So just doing the same thing on this side, but this will just give them a little more definition, but still while looking natural. And then I take the spoolie side and I just kind of rub that through just to make sure there's no weird lines and everything is just blended nicely. And then the trend lately has been kind of the more feathered brow, which I like a little featherness, not a lot. I don't like this straight up, I don't know, I can't pull that off, but this Too Faced brow gel has been such a favorite. It's the Fluff and Hold brow wax. It is so good, and you can often find it like on major sale. So what I like to do is I kind of go, I probably need to buy another one of this, but I like to kind of push my brow hairs sideways a little bit, like almost diagonally. I don't like them straight up, and then I just kind of push the rest like so. Just pushing them and fluffing them a little bit, not adding too much. I especially like more volume on the ends because my ends are pretty thin. With this, it actually has a nice little spoolie in the cap, little brush, so then it actually makes them stick up a little bit better. And I feel like this is one of like the most long lasting brow gels that actually holds them in place. So many I feel like droop throughout the day, but this one actually stays. So that's just gonna add a little bit more fluffiness, a little thickness. It raises the face a little bit, which we all want. Now we can do cheek products. For bronzer, I pulled this one. This is my tried and true love, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer. It is very used. As you can see, this is humongous. It's almost as big as my face, and I did hit pan on this. This is the shade, I think medium, 2 medium. This is like the perfect tone. I love how blendable this is. It's just been a staple for many years. And my favorite bronzer brush, oh my gosh, this really changed the game for bronzer for me. This is the BK Beauty 103. It's a bigger fluffy brush, which I like for bronzer. If you're doing more contour, you'll want something a little smaller, but I always struggled with bronzer for years. I just felt like I couldn't get it right. It always looked muddy, patchy on me, and all along it was mostly my brushes because I couldn't find a good bronzer brush. But this one just distributes it evenly. It's nice and fluffy so you can cover a big area. So I like to swirl my brush in there and tap the excess off, and then just go ahead and swirl this onto the face, and it is that easy. I just feel like this bronzer is so nice and natural on the skin. I really like this tone. It's very neutral, and it just looks so pretty and gives us a little bit of bronze and color to the face. And yeah, this brush, it's so perfect. It just blends it out so nice. I'm all about having a good blend, so I will sometimes take my little powder brush too and just kind of lightly go over that just to make sure it's all looking very seamless. Now for blush, of course, we have to use one from Patrick Ta. I love his blush formula. It is my favorite on the market out of all the blushes I have tried, and this is my most used shade, so I had to pull this one out. As you can see, I feel like this is gonna break any second because of the corners chipping away. But this is She's Blushing from Patrick Ta. I love this one when I have a tan, but I also love his new ones that he came out with, the 3 more fair colors. Those are perfect. But yeah, this is definitely my most used, and it's literally the perfect blushing rose kind of color. So for this, I'm going to use this nice little blush brush from the Angie Hot and Flashy travel set. This is the A507. It's a mini size since it's in the travel set. And this one has a really nice kind of angle to really get into those cheekbones. I, of course, with Patrick Ta, start with the powder first, because he likes to do the cream last because he's all about the glow. Just using a little bit. This is a very pigmented blush, and we're gonna go just right here on the cheeks, just slightly above our bronzer. This one has a little bit of shine to it as well, and then blending up into the temples just a little bit, just so it all kind of melts together on the skin. But of course you want like the most. I like the most on the apples of the cheeks, but I feel like this shade is so pretty. It almost gives like a bronzer effect where it could be a blush bronzer hybrid, and it's such a pretty summer glow color. Sometimes I'll do just a little excess on the nose area like this, just so it all blends together. And then I'm lightly dipping into the cream to set it on top, and this is gonna add more glow. And sometimes I like to focus this more, not quite on the apples, but a little bit above into the temples a little more. But I do like a more dramatic kind of blush. I like it to be seen. Sometimes I like something natural, but I don't know. I love how this one looks. And then I'm actually going to take my little under eye powder brush and blend that together, just so it's not a harsh line. Everything I want to look seamless. Now, I don't do this every time, but if you want to add a little more glow, a little highlight to the skin, this is my Holy Grail highlighter. It's from Auric. It's their Glow Lust Radiant Luminizer in Morganite. And this is such a pretty natural highlight. I don't like too much glow. This one gives me just enough, and it looks just like glistening and wet on the skin, which I like. Now, you can use this with a brush, which I think I will do that today. This is, again, the same one we use for concealer. I just wipe the excess off just so you're not getting pigment on there, and then I'm gonna dip into that luminizer, and we'll apply it straight to the upper cheekbones, and you can just see it gives the prettiest pearly glow. It is so stunning, and it just looks natural. It doesn't emphasize texture too much. Of course, any highlight is going to a little bit, but wow. It is just so seamless, and it just adds that perfect little amount of glow. I do a little bit on my nose too, Cupid's bow. But it is so stunning. You can do your inner corner as well. I might do a little bit there, but I like that it just doesn't add too much highlight. It's just enough, and I like to keep it here, not go too far down, so it really lifts the face. And then I'll go back in with my blush brush and just kind of blend that together. So I like to do that after my powder, just so it keeps that little bit of glow. All right, lastly is lips, and I have to go with my favorite lip liner. This is the Makeup Forever Anywhere Caffeine. As you can see, it's a little stub. I clearly use this a lot. This is the perfect, just everyday neutral color, and I love the Makeup Forever lip pencil formula because it doesn't move around. It's not too creamy. It actually stays on the lips pretty well. Just very lightly on my lips. I don't like a very obvious line, but yeah, this is the perfect neutral nude color. And for lip color, I have to go in with the Tarte Juicy Lip Plumps. I feel like some people think these are overrated. That's fine, but I love them, and they go everywhere with me. I think they are so pretty on the lips. I love how juicy they look and how plump they are, and the thickness of them. They last pretty well for me. I'll have the color of this one down below. It's not on the bottom, so I have to double check which color this is, but it's a really nice pretty pink. And oh my gosh, look at that gloss. Oh, it's so pretty. Nothing ever compares to the original Juicy Lips, I just have to say. I know Tarte has come out with a million other versions, but this is just always the tried and true. It just makes the lips look so plump without any burning, stinging, but it still looks nice and juicy. Obsessed with these. And then for the most long wear, we have to finish everything off with setting spray. This is the One Size On Till Dawn mattifying spray. This seriously holds my makeup all day and also helps the oils not break through. It does kind of feel like you're putting hairspray on. It's not super sticky though, but it just kind of smells like hairspray and reminds me of hairspray. So let's put this on. And this will just lock everything in place. One Size has amazing products for oily skin. So here's our final look. This is just like my holy grail essential kind of makeup routine that always works for me and lasts all day. Some of my favorite products, and of course with the help of my favorite brushes from BK Beauty. Don't forget to mark your calendars for their sale coming up on July 3 through the 8th, where you can get the Angie Hot and Flashy brushes at a discount. You guys know I love them so much, and they really help making your makeup routine a little bit easier. You can literally shop them just from this video right here in the YouTube shopping section where it says view more products. Sometimes it's also on the side of the video too, but you can literally shop these straight from the video. I'll have some links in the description box as well. Any coupon codes I have too, if you guys just can't wait for the sale and want to get these brushes right now. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little more detailed routine using some of my tried and true favorites. Let me know if you want to see kind of more longer, in-depth videos like this. They are really fun to film. I'm not like, you know, the most expert makeup artist, but this is what works for me and some products that I have found that truly work so well, especially if you have more oily combo skin or just in the summertime too. But I'm gonna let you go and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.